So just standing in the middle of the mat. Just start to press the feet down into the mat, so just waking up kind of the muscles in the feet. Soften the knees, tuck the pelvis under. Thinking about getting nice and tall into the spine. Pull the core muscles in, pelvic floor, TBA. Get tall, take the shoulders down and back, crown of the head going up to the ceiling. And you might want to think about length there at the back of the neck. Ears just comfortably sitting over the top of shoulders. Pelvic floor, TBA, pull in 100%, try not to hold your breath, and then just slow release. And then go again 10 times. We did it last week, so pulling in, slow release. And just notice now when you pull in, are you scrunching up your toes, and maybe just let go of your feet a little bit, slow release. So we're really isolating just to the core, pulling in. 100%, nice big squeeze and slow release. And again, pulling in. And just check now you're not holding your breath and your shoulders are relaxed, slow release. Thinking about the muscles in your jaw here as well, just relax, slow release. And again, pulling in. Big squeeze in that pelvic floor, front bit, back bit, pelvis is tucked under, slow release. 4 left, pulling in. Shoulders relaxed, slow release, and 3, slow release, and 2, slow release, and last one, pulling in. Slow release it down to 50%, so the engagement's all there, pelvic floor, TVA, nicely pulled in. And we're going to leave that nicely pulled in, we'll do a breathing exercise, so I'm going to show you sideways on because it's easier. So interlink the fingers, palms, you've done this one before, palms facing outwards, lift the arms up over the head, keep the pelvis tucked under, knit the rib cages in, we're breathing in, and then turn the wrists around so the palms are facing you, breathing out round the upper back and the shoulders, breathing in, interlink the fingers behind, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift up the rib cage, maybe look up as well if you choose. Breathing out, palms together at heart center. So you get this nice release on the shoulders. So breathing in, interlink the fingers, palms up. Just knit the ribs together here. So try not to extend, arch in the lower back. Keep the pelvis tucked under. Breathing out, rounding in the upper back. Maybe some space there between the shoulder blades. Breathing in, interlink the fingers, squeeze the shoulders together. And breathing out, hands at palm center. And you can always dip the chin as well in there. I'm going to keep going, so breathing in. Arms up over the head. Get a little bit of a stretch on the backs of the fingers. Breathing out. Rounding in the lower back. Breathing in. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. And breathing out, hands at heart center. Just 2 more. Breathing in. Notice if you're scrunching up your toes, if you're holding any tension in your feet, so just try and let your feet melt down into the mat. Keep the pelvis tucked under. And also, last one, take an eye now on pelvic floor, TBA, so just check. You're still engaging with that 50%. Tying in with that breath. Last one, breathing in. Shoulder squeeze. And breathing out, palms together. Okay, so you know this one too, but we're going to do a combo with this one. So bring your hand up level with your shoulder, ear down to shoulder. Take it into a shoulder glide, try and keep your hips still. Pulling in the core, recenter, take it up and over, and side bend. All the time, hips and pelvis still other side. So it's left, ear down to shoulder, it's that neck release. Drifting that over to the side for your shoulder glide. Recenter the shoulders, lifting up to the ceiling, hand on hip, side bend. So we're going to mix this with a squat, so in between each side, bend the knees, hips back into space, down into your squat, then left, and then go straight into your neck release, your reach. And you can take your time and work with the breath, or if you just feel like flowing through, like at your own pace, that's fine. So down for your squat. Watch those knees, don't pronate in. Ear down, and reach, and recenter, and lift, and over. And then we'll just keep going. I'm going to go 2 more. Then I'm going to give a progression on the squat if anyone wants to take it. It is quite a tricky one, but we'll put it in there and see what happens. And you might want to isolate that and practice that a little bit too. So last one, just like this. Ear down to shoulder. Does take a little bit of coordination, this one. Hand on hip. And taking it over. So my progression on the squat, I'm just going to adjust the camera slightly because I need you to see what's going to happen. Is you go down for your squat and you take it all the way. So you're going to go down for a squat, then you come down onto your knees, then you scoop the hands up and you might want to touch the mat and lifting back up. So have a couple of goes. So you come all the way into a squat, it goes really low, then you drift it forwards, kneeling, then you can either put the hands down, scooping and bring yourself back up, or the challenge is to go down and scoop without the hands touching the floor. It's actually really tricky because it works with balance. So a couple of more times, have a little go, because then we'll put in your neck release shoulder glide combination in, and you can add in that kneeling thing if you want to, okay? So option there. Okay, so we'll rejoin, arm up level with your shoulder, ear down, reaching to the side, recentering, pulling in that core lift. Take it over for a side bend. If you want a little bit more on your side bend, streamline the arms, it's a little bit more intense. Then release, then squat. Now option there to bring it all the way down. She says wobbling, or maybe just a low squat. A lift. And then reaching to the other side. Ear down to shoulder. Reach, drawing in that core. Lift. Into that big side bend. Streamlining if you choose. And then release into the squat. So it's either really low and then coming down to that kneeling, scooping and lifting. Last time each side. Reaching. Recentering. Check you've got that 50% in on that core, hips are still. Again, just notice what's happening with the feet. You're scrunching up your toes, and maybe just go for a nice release. Feet just melting down into the mat. Last one. Ear down to shoulder and reach. Recenter. Reaching up, drawing that core, side bend. Streamline if you choose. Last squat, down, either nice and low, or go for the kneeling and the scoop. And then release. Nice, this is a good little challenge, isn't it? I just have to adjust these again. Otherwise my videos are a bit off. Okay, so going to work with a little bit of balance now. So it's a high knee walk. So like you're just going for a walk here, but just lifting up the knee and lower. I'll show you sideways, just lift and lower. Opposite hand just lifts on opposite leg here. And maybe you can even touch and kind of do a little kind of thing if you want. Try and keep it hip width here. And then again, noticing what's happening with the feet. So the arches aren't kind of dropping. The knees aren't pronating. So we're keeping everything hip width, which is sometimes why the hand can be quite useful, because you can just see where that knee is going. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and hold. Just holding for a breath. And then again, 1 and 2 and 3 and hold. And it's kind of restabilizing that's tricky. And again, 1 and 2, keep pulling in the core, and 3 and hold. And again, 1 and 2 and 3. Hold. Last time. And 1, 2 and 3 and hold. Pulling in the core. This time then, same thing. We go 1 and 2 and 3, hold, and then we're going to drift that foot back, reach the arms forwards. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, hold, take that foot back, reach the arms forwards. Release, back into it. 1 and 2 and 3 and extend. How is that feeling? Okay, 1 and 2, keep working with the core, and 3 and extending back. Last one. 1 and 2 and 3, extend. So releasing from there. So just take a star balance. So we're just lifting one leg to the side, and we're going to work with our calf raises from there. So staff balance. How am I in the camera? Staff balance. Star balance. And then just close your eyes and see if you can hold this for 10 seconds. Try and keep your shoulders relaxed. Pulling in the core. Maybe the big toe scrunches and pushes down, lift up the arch. Then open your eyes and then go for your lifts. Just see if you can stay in your star. So 10 heel lifts. We've been doing these pretty much every week. So it's a little bit different in the star position. Really notice, so pulling in the pelvic floor, but really notice squeezing on the glutes. Shoulders relaxed. Try not to hold the breath. I think it's just a couple more. And then switch sides, so over to the other side. Star balance, shoulders relaxed, pulling in the core, closing your eyes if you can hold that for 10 seconds. Then take your lifts, a little 10 heel lifts. So it's just strengthening the feet, works with the ankles too. Really works with that connection from the glutes, the feet, the core, and the brain. It's about 5 more. Keep pulling in on that core, keep working TBA. Couple more. Release, and then press just a little shake there, because it can be quite intense holding those balances. So we're going to head down to the mat. I'm going to put a little bit more stretching through and like a bit more on a warm up in a minute. So head down to the mat in a downward dog, and we'll all meet there. So just hips up to the ceiling. Spread the fingers, spiral biceps towards each other. Stretch at the backs of the legs, and if you need to, just walking through your dog. Feet, knees, hip width apart. Head in between your arms. Just enjoy that stretch on the calf muscles, on the hamstrings. Hopefully you can get that on the backs of the shoulders if you're struggling. Drift it forwards to your plank and then hinge and send your hips up high. So just notice if you're holding the breath, so just take a couple of deep breaths here. Thinking about maybe the yogic breath, so starting at the tummy and then sending it up towards the rib cage and towards the neck. And then we're just going to step the right foot forwards for a high lunge. So this in itself is a nice balance. So it's like a really big stride, you're on hip width. Take the arms up towards the ceiling. Looking in front with intent, so concentrate. Just gonna lift that slightly. Big deep breath, and again you can use that yogic breath. So start down in the tummy and then send it up towards the neck, towards the chest. And then you're just gonna literally twist the left foot so it's facing like the side of the mat. Cartwheel your hands, coming out to our warrior two. And we're going to do this one for a nice stretch, like inner thigh here. Line up your heels, arms out to the sides level with your shoulders. And we can go palms up and just see if you can get a little bit of opening there on the shoulders and the chest. And then maybe thinking about sinking down a little bit lower. Kind of try and square the hips here to the front, the side of the mat. And then maybe palms down, and then you can just take that gaze again across to the middle finger, over to the right side. Ready to move a little bit here. Drop the right elbow towards the right knee. Take a really nice big side stretch. Still thinking about the core, so still drawing in pelvic floor and TVA. And you can think about spiraling heart to ceiling. Take the eye gaze up. As you breathe, you could start down at the tummy and then descending it up the body. Taking really big in-breaths. And then we can come back to that warrior two and then reverse it all. Elbow tucks into your waist. Take that arm up and over. Big stretch there, all around the rib cage. Again, a couple of deep breaths. Then recentering it back up, straighten the right leg. Reach the right hand down towards your knee or your foot. And then it's a big triangle. So legs are straight. And then that left arm just reaches up towards the ceiling. So it's a nice chest opening move, that one. Again, a couple of deep breaths. Thinking about your feet, so we're kind of hoovering the floor with our feet, so scrunch up the toes a little bit. Engage through the feet. Recenter, so bringing up those arms. Turn the feet so they both face the side of the mat. And then slow roll down. Chin to chest. Slide the hands down the legs for a wide forward bend. And then just simply enjoy this stretch here for the hamstrings. So really allow kind of the chin to drop down. And the upper body can feel super heavy there. Show you sideways arm. Just really super heavy with the upper body. You feel the stretch on the backs of the legs, and you can also turn your feet slightly inwards to get a little bit more of a juicy stretch. Couple of deep breaths. Then slowly uncurl vertebrae by vertebrae, turning the left foot this time to the front of the mat. The right foot faces the side of the mat. Line up your heels, square your hips to the front to get all these juicy stretches in the hips. Down the sides of the legs, lifting up the arms up level with your shoulders. Maybe palms up to begin with to get the stretch from the chest. Draw in pelvic floor, draw in TVA. Then turning the hands over, looking over that left middle finger. Thinking about the length of the back of the neck, crown of the head. Shining up towards the ceiling. And all the time squaring the hips to the front. Then we're literally going to do the same thing. So elbow drops down for a big side stretch, side angle. You can spiral chest to ceiling. Take the eye gaze up. Again, using the yogic breath. So start it down in the tummy, send it up towards the chest. And then reverse that. Tuck the elbow into your waist. And then over the other side for a side bend. Always feels a bit tricky if we don't do this one very often. Recentering it, straighten that left leg. Hoovering the mats with your feet. Right arm up towards the ceiling. Juicy triangle stretch. So it's just a really nice way to get a little bit of length there in the hamstrings. Eye gaze going up. Thinking about this length and opening on the chest. Then turning the right foot so we're facing back into our high lunge. Lift the arms up so we're getting our hip flexor stretch. Pressing back through that back heel. Holding the balance in here. Bringing the hands down. Step the left foot back to your downward dog. And if you need to walk through your dog, walk through your dog. Stretch at the backs of the legs. Spread the fingers, spiral biceps towards each other. And maybe, I don't know how you feel coming through that little sequence, coming back into dog. Maybe you feel a little bit looser, you feel like there's a little bit more space in the backs of the legs. So slowly lower yourself down onto all fours. We're going to go to the donkey kick and the extension that we did last week. So option to put the band in straight away, but I'll show you without as well. But we're going to do it the other way around. So last time I gave you the extension and then we went into donkey kick. So today, we start with the left leg, soften the elbows, lift up to your donkey kick, flex the foot. So there's a flexion there in the ankles. Then extend. And then bring down. So up into the donkey kick. And then extend. And then lower down. And you're really thinking about kind of what's happening with your hips. Don't let your hips tilt. I'm going to put the band in. Oh, so if I'm using my using my left leg, the band's on the foot, and the other one's over the leg. So donkey kick, left, and then we're going to extend. Control on the extension, and then lower it down. Then donkey kick. Then extend. And then lower down. So especially if you put the band in, just watch the hips aren't tilting. So using the core muscles, pelvic floor, TVA. And extend. And then bring down. So if you haven't got the band, you might want to alternate legs. So it's easier to alternate without the band. So you might want to do left leg and then straight into right leg, because then you're kind of working that instability in the core, which would be nice. But if you've got the band, you might be just working with one leg, 6 to 8 repetitions, and then go on to the other side. So options, lift into the donkey kick, extend the opposite hand, ready for going into that extension, and then you've got opposite arm, opposite leg ready there. So you can go donkey kick, and then everything extending, and then release. One more, and then we'll swap sides unless you are without the band, and then just alternating. And then release. So it's donkey kick, extend, option there to bring in the opposite arm, and release. Donkey kick, extend. Good TVA move to stop the lower back arching. So keep a check, pulling tummy button up towards the spine. Squeezing glutes, especially for your extensions. Lift, extend. Eye gaze goes just to the front of the mat, so you keep that crown of the head in line with the spine. 2 more, Ivan. Donkey kick, extensions, release, last one. Donkey kick, extensions, and release. So just take the band out for a sec, and we're going to come down onto the mat for a swan dive. So lying on your front. Cactus your arms, elbows level with your shoulders, hands level with your elbows. Breathing out, we're going to lift head and shoulders, keep the eye gaze down. Breathing in lower. Try and keep the legs heavy, so just allowing the legs here to relax. Keep the connection here with pelvic floor and TVA. And just notice now as you go into your lefts what's happening with your arms. Are your elbows super heavy? So see if you can get some real lightness in your arms as you work your lefts. Adding in, if you choose, you've got your lifting up your arms. Try and keep the eye gaze down, the chin tucked in. And lower. Breathing out to lift. Breathing in to lower. I can really feel, this is quite tricky for me today because I've been staying, because of doing the I've been staying in the house in a room, and there's a TV in the room, which is like terrible because I've been watching TV in bed. Obviously, just with a few pillows behind my head. So it's really super bad for my posture. So I can feel quite stiff today. Adding in then, you could take your breathing out, lift, breathe in and then breathing out, reaching forwards. Extend. Bring it back to that cactus and lower. Keep working with that lift. Extend. And lower. I'm going to put a little add in here if you choose. So in between each swan dive, place your hands on the corners of the mat and gently lift up for a mini cobra. And you can take the eye gaze forwards, take the shoulders back, get a bit of a lift on the chest. Then lower it down and then go back straight into your swan dive move. Swan dive move. Just see if that helps you to feel kind of a little bit more space. Kind of in the muscles, in the back, a little bit more mobility in the spine. So I'm working with that breath. That's 3 breaths in each swan dive. Into that lift. Maybe you get the abdominal stretch there in the Cobra as well, which is quite nice to draw in the core. And lift. Stand. Try not to hold the breath for the Cobra as we go for one more. Breathing out to lift. Breathing out to into your extensions. Breathing out as you lift into Cobras. Lowering that down, then lift up onto all fours. We'll cat stretch to release. So space between the shoulder blades, tuck the pelvis under, chin goes down to chest. Really go for a big squeeze here on the abdominals and the tummy. So pulling in. Sending the breath between the shoulders. So from there we'll go down to our front plank. So elbows underneath your shoulders and pelvic floor TVA and lifting up the hips, particularly TVA. So really think about tummy button and really squeeze here. Take your knees, your feet hip width, so you've got a nice strong base. And then all we're going to do is we're just going to take one foot off to the side of the mat. And then this is a bit of a strange thing to imagine, but just imagine you're going to stub out a cigarette. So just a little wiggle there, either side with your feet, and then reset in the middle, and then over to the other side. So take your foot off the mat, stubbing out a cigarette, and then recenter. Option there, if you want to make that harder, is straighten the legs, lift your plank a little bit higher, lifting the hips off the ground. And you can still do those little wiggles in the hips either side. Try and keep the feet, the knees hip width as you recenter it. Notice if you're holding the breath. Notice if you've lost that TVA, so come back and just pulling in. Take a check, the shoulders are down away from the ears. Crown of the head in line with the spine. Just 3 more cigarettes. Last one. And then we'll come down, have a little rest, and we'll do one more. This time haven't done this for a while, we'll lift to a high plank. So from low plank to high plank. So pelvic floor and TVA and lifting up the hips, particularly that TVA, tummy button drawing in, then pressing and then pushing yourself up to that high plank and then lowering yourself down. So we can put in the move that we were just doing. So if you want, you can take, so your legs are straight in your high plank, and then you can just do the same move. Take your foot off the side, just like we've just done, and then the other side. Then lower down, and then lift it back up. If you've got your knees down, when you come down, you could do the little stubs to the side, then lifting up. So it's sort of the other way around. So however works for you. Shoulders down away from ears. Crown of the head in line with the spine. Taking those and just enjoying the nice little wiggles there in the hips. Bringing it down. Lifting it back up. Notice if you're holding the breath. Also, if you're always pushing up with the same hand. So just see if you can switch that over. Put the weaker one first. Keeping in those little wiggles. 2 more. Looking into your lips. Keep breathing. So our release is going to be our child's pose, so sit back towards your heels. Again, you can wiggle those hips side to side. Just drop the elbows off the mat and find your diamonds. So draw your thumbs together, your index fingers together. Place that down on the mat. So if you can bring your forehead down to the mat too. And then go back to the yogic breath. So as you breathe in, you send the breath right down towards the abdomen. Filling up the tummy, the lower back. And then as you breathe in even more, you send it up towards the rib cage, all the way up the spine, towards the back of the neck, and if you can, all the way towards the third eye, between the eyebrows. Take 5 deep breaths. So from there we're going to go onto our sides. Grab the bands again. We'll put the bands in on a clam. If you've got your band, you can do that. Well, you can totally do this without too. So just goes just above the knee. Pick a side. You do 3 moves on each side. Lift the heels up level with your hips. Tilt yourself forward slightly so top hip sits over the top of the bottom hip a little bit. Pull in pelvic floor, pull in TVA, particularly TVA, we sometimes use that one on our sides. Lift top knee and lower. You can do, it's a nice neck stretch if you put your hand there under your ear. And a bit like last week, so when you get to the end of the band, there's always this moment where you can just get a tiny bit more and then release. So there's this tiny bit more onto the resistance of the band. Keep working pelvic floor and TVA. And you're feeling that in the glute med, runs down the side and the back of the bum. Notice what's happening in the feet. So try not to let the feet crumble. So it's almost like you were doing a squat. You're controlling the arches. You're not letting them drop. Keep a little bit of tension there in the ankles. Should start feeling it by about now, I would imagine. Yeah, Mario's going, yeah. Let's go 4 more. Again, just try and get that a little bit further right at the end point. Then release, straighten the legs and keep the band there. Double leg stretch, lifting both legs. Pull in pelvic floor, pull in TVA. Lift the arm up and over. Keeping elevated little pulses. And depending on what you've got there with your band, you probably might not feel the tension in the band. That's fine. It's more balance, this one. Keep pulling in on the core. And we'll release, we'll bring that down. We'll do a couple more, so it's a double leg lift. Pulling in the core, arm up and over, option rib cage. Then for 8 pulses, into the pulse, a bit like a side kick for swordfish in the pool. Front crawl kick and release. Go one more. Double leg lift up, pulling in the core, rib cage, arm up and over for your balance, pulsing from the hips, pointing toes as well if you choose. Then releasing that back down. We're going to go for a side kick, and you can leave your band in for this one. Just bend the bottom knee, lift the top leg up to hip height. So it's flexing the foot, kick forwards, point the toe, bring it back. And basically the band just gives you a little bit more resistance there for the glutes. So you can leave it in, it depends on the resistance of your band. Notice now your leg is up at hip height. Try not to let it drop. And you can always bring in that chest stretch, so hands behind the head, and just drop that top elbow. Get that release in the chest. Elbow touches forwards. And then into that nice spine twist release. Just 2 more. Breathing out as you kick forwards. Breathing in as you come back towards the body. So release, and we'll do those 3 moves on the other side. So spin yourself over. We'll start with the clams. Again, you've got the options to put the bands in. Just tilting your hips forwards, pull in TVA, pull in that pelvic floor. Notice what's happening with your feet. So a little bit of tension in there. Lift the top knee and lower. And notice if each side feels the same, because I know for me, this side, my hips almost a bit doesn't quite open the same, like in the glute med doesn't fire as quickly. So I have to concentrate harder. So sometimes it's nice to notice the sides of the body if anything's happening, anything different. If it is, sometimes you just need to, like I said, just concentrate a little bit more on what it feels like, what it needs. Does it need a little bit longer at the top point and then a little push and then release? Try and get the same muscles engaging. So it's that glute med around the side, the back of the bum. Still drawing in the core. Again, notice if the feet are doing anything different to the other side. Are they gripping more, or are the arches dropping more? Just 4 more. Again, just working into the edges of the band. Keep drawing in that tummy button. 2. And last one. Then extend out for that double leg lift. Get yourself nicely lined up. Pulling in pelvic floor, pulling in TVA. Double leg lift, so lift and take the balance. Arm up and over. Drawing in the core and then release. Then we go again. Double leg lift. Arm up and over. Take the pulsing down from the hips. Like the front crawl legs. Try and get some really good length here on the body. And then releasing that down. You've got that add in now. So double leg lift. You can bring that rib cage slightly lifted. Arm up and over. Take the little flutter kicks. It really does work with balance, that one. And release. We'll do 2 more. Double leg lift. Drawing in the core. It's a good pelvic floor move, this one. Rib cage lifted. Pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Last time. Double leg lift. Pulling in that core, rib cage. Arm up and over. Pulse. 8, 7, 6. Oh, I'm wobbly on this side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release that down. We'll go for our side kick. So lift that top leg, level with the hip, flex the foot. Kick forwards. Just feel the hamstring stretch. point the toe, bring it back. Maybe you feel this in your calf muscles too with the flex and point. And then you've got that option to bring in that chest stretch, hands behind the head, breathing out as you kick forwards. So if you can drop the elbow and then bring it forwards. Such a great release with the chest, and well, it's just a really good twist, isn't it, this one? If you've put the band in there, just take a check the leg doesn't drop below hip height. It's just trying to keep that in alignment in there. I'll do 2 more. Keep working that flex and point in the toes. Last one. So release, and we'll go on to our backs. Keep the band in there, or if you haven't got the band, no worries. You can do this without the band. Arms up towards the ceiling. Try and get some length at the back of the neck, chin down towards chest. Maybe if you need to put a cushion underneath the head, go for it. If your chin's up here. So arms up towards the ceiling. We did this one last week. Knees, feet, hip width. Opposite knee to opposite hand. Just drop down towards the floor. Work into the band. And then recenter, other side. Opposite knee, opposite arm, drop. So think here, pelvic floor, think TVA, imprint lower back down. And then just notice, as we're doing these movements with the knee and with the arm, are the shoulder blades staying down, heavy, down, imprinting towards the floor? Is the lower back imprinting? Is the core engaging? Is the knee that's not dropping still pointing to the ceiling? Because that will want to tilt with this one too. Over to the other side. And it's a really nice kind of slow way into the inner thigh too. So just working to the edges of the band. And recentering, just 2 more. Try and keep that knee still, the one that's pointing up towards the ceiling. Last one. Then keep the arms still facing up towards the ceiling. We'll take a shoulder release. So just turn the thumbs inside. Lift the shoulder blades up as far as you can. Keep the back of the head on the mat. Turn it back around so palms are facing, then pressing shoulder blades down. And we'll just do that 3 times. So lifting the arms up to the ceiling, so nice shoulder release, and then imprinting them down. Quite nice if you've been doing quite a bit on computers and things like that. It takes that tension or driving out of the shoulders, out of the neck. Last one, reaching, lifting. Imprint shoulders down, but relax a little bit. Then just lengthening out one leg. Now you're going to keep these arms really still and the other knee really still as you do your 1 leg circle. And again, we did this one last week, so it's just good to revisit and see 2nd week how it feels. So slowly drawing a circle. It doesn't have to be super big, maybe the size of a watermelon, something like that. And the focus here, keeping those shoulders still, keeping that lower back still, because it's going to want to tilt to the sides. So using pelvic floor, use TVA, other way around for your circles. And again, just exploring the edges of the band. If you haven't got the band in there, doesn't matter, you can still work with these circles. You can still think about the control in here. And 1 more. Super slow, so it's breathing in, breathing out for 1 circle. And then we'll go to the other side. And again, we're still imprinting those shoulders down, extending that other leg. Focus on that knee being super still. And you can also think about the feet. So are you scrunching up the toes and putting loads of pressure through that foot? So thinking about relaxing the feet a little bit. So the effort all coming from the core here. Pelvic floor and TVA, super controlled with the lower back being still. For one way and then for the other. Again, just exploring the edges of the band. Notice as well if they feel the same. If each leg felt the same as you did your circles. One more. So release from that, and then just placing the band on the feet. And then place the hands just underneath the bottom of your bum. So it's just a bit of a support here for the lower back. Pelvic floor TVA is pulled in, and lift the legs up to a tabletop position, and then extending one leg away. So we did this one again last week. Tabletop, and then over to the other side. So again, you could have done that without the band. It's just a simple single leg stretch. Tabletop and extend, but we've just put a little bit of support in there. So just focus here on hips being still. Pelvic floor and TVA imprint, and working that to imprint that lower back down. Notice as well, knees, feet, hip width. Little extensions in here. 4 more. Try and keep those knees and feet hip width. Not too much wiggling in there. So we'll bring the band off to the sides, and just bring the arms out to the sides, and just breathing out, let both knees drop across to one side. We're just going to take a little release before I take you into the 5 sets. You can look into the other direction. Chest stretch. Breathing in, recenter, and then over to the other side. So coming back to center, we're going to go to our normal stuff that you know about. So it's going to be 4 toe taps, 8 pulses, and then an 8-second lift. So we'll do 1 beginner's layer. Just maybe walk the feet further away from the body. You've got right angles there behind the feet. Pelvic floor TVA in. So 4 toe taps. Lift one leg up to tabletop and lower. Hips still. Switch it over. Lift and lower. 2 more. Lift. Try not to let any wiggling happen there in the hips. And lower and lift. Lower. Lift. Head and shoulders look to knees. Pulsing. Arms up and down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reach the hands up to the knees. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And release. Switch myself around so I can see the screen a little bit better. Ready to go again. Progressing here if you choose. Tabletops, lifting up. You can always check your tabletops, fingertips on kneecaps. 4 toe taps. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straighten legs. Reach. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. And again, 4 toe taps. 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straighten legs. Reach. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. If you feel like your lower back's lifting, it feels like too much, take it back down to that beginner's layer. Ready? 4, 3, and 2, and 1. Lift and pulse. Keep the tummy still for the pulsing. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slide hands to knees. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Last. Oh, how many have we got left? 2, 3 left. No? Ready to go. 4 toe taps. 4, 3, and 2, and 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straighten legs, reach. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Last one. 4 toe taps. 4, 3, hips still here. 2, and 1. Keep imprinting. Pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slide hands to knees. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Just hug the knees into the chest. Perhaps a little bit of a rock or a circle here. And we'll use this position to take us into that double leg stretch. So arms up towards the ceiling, breathing out, let both arms drop over the head. Try and keep the chest down, don't let it flare up too much here. And then bringing that back towards the knees. Breathing out, arms over the head. Feel that kind of, you should feel the stretch there at the top of the back. And then breathing in, bring it back. Option here to add in extending the legs, double leg stretch. Arms over. And then bring it all back in. Keep working the same amount of imprint you used for that 100. So pelvic floor TVA pulled in. Knit the ribs together so the chest doesn't really lift for this. So using the core for that too. Obviously the further the legs go down, the harder it is to hold that imprint. Coming in, knees to chest, breathing out to extend. 3 more. So place the feet down on the mats and we're going to do a butterfly stretch with the arms going over. So option then to put the band back in, just above the knee. So arms up to the ceiling, both knees drop to the sides, arms over the head. And what you'll find wants to happen is the ribcage wants to lift. So pull in pelvic floor, pull in TVA. So take it for your butterfly stretch, work into the corners of the band, arms over the head, and then bring it back in. And then again lift. Chin towards chest. And you can do that exact same thing without the band as well. Check that the pelvis is kind of tucked in, tucked under. You need to tuck it under to get that imprint there for the lower back. 2 more. Stand. And just 1 more. So coming up, we're going to our shoulder bridge. So feet, knees, hip width apart. Just see if you can touch your ankles. Take a pelvic tilt. So super slow, like a massage for the lower back. Vertebrae by vertebrae. Rolling into the mat. You should really feel their pelvic floor engaging, TVA engaging. If you want to do a little bit more, we can start working that lift in the hips. Chin goes to chest, get that lump there in the back of the neck. So we've been playing around a little bit with different things with the arms. So go one arm, bring the one arm down, and then just switch that over. So if you can keep the shoulders nice and stable. And then obviously you can add in like leg lifts with this. So you could try opposite arm and opposite leg extended in the shoulder bridge. And then see if you can switch that over, keep the hips still. You can leave the bands in there, no worries with the bands on this one. They sometimes help engage glute med too, so it's kind of useful. So you can take a little opposite arm, opposite leg. Try and keep those hips still, don't let the hip drop. And the same thing with the shoulders. Keeping that length there at the back of the neck. Three more swaps. breathing out as you extend. Last one. Slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, lower the hips down to the floor, hug the knees into the chest, and rock yourself up to a seated position. Check on the time. So we're going to do some roll backs. If you don't want to roll back, C-shape the spine down and then lift your head, lift your chest, take your shoulders back for a big massage on the spine. If you're happy to roll back, take it to a hover, C-shape the lower back, take it back for your rock, and then come back to your hover. And then again, we'll keep working with that one, so rock it back to your hover. Option then, stretching one leg for hamstring stretch, and then just switching that over, other leg. Then do your rock backs. Come back, progressing, teasers. So straighten both legs. Yeah, you don't have to hold on, so that's option there. I'm watching the screen. Rock back, come back to your hovers, or maybe half teaser, maybe you like a half teaser. Whichever, just take the teaser for a couple of breaths and then rock it back. And I suppose the progression here is to see if you can do that without holding on, so the arms just loose by the sides. And trying not to hold that breath. 2 more. And last one. And releasing from there. Nearly going to go into a spine twist, but I'm just going to do one more thing with the band. I'm going to put the band for the ankles just around the middle of the foot, like about here. And then it's just a point and a flex. So point and flex, you can see. The other leg can be straight, other leg can be bent. So it's kind of a bit of calf work, a little bit ankle work. But as you do this, as you point and flex, I want you to squeeze the glutes that's actually on that leg. So thinking about the glute kind of squeezing and then it going down the leg and working towards the calf muscle. The other glute can be switched off. So the side that's not working, just if you can totally switch that off. And just target the glute on the leg that's working. And obviously we can think about, obviously lift up the chest, shoulders back. I was a bit like that then, wasn't I? Caught myself. Couple more, you feel that in your calf muscles. And then we just go to the other side. Same thing. So, and I want you to notice if both sides the glute fires. So sometimes if you have any imbalances there, the other glute maybe doesn't fire straight away, or you have to kind of think about it a little bit harder. So again, get the leg that's not doing any work just to switch off, and then you're squeezing that glute as you work into your point. Just all working with those connections from core, glutes down towards the feet. It's also really good on the calf muscles. And again, notice if you're slouching. Shoulders back, lift up the chest. We do a couple more and then just got one more exercise like this. You put the band around both feet, and obviously you can do these without the band, isn't it? It's not completely necessary, you can still flex and point. And then we'll just get a nice stretch here, so lifting up the heart. So press down with your hands, it doesn't matter which way around, if your wrists are happy, palms, fingers facing away from the body. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift up the heart. And then this time, turn the feet, so you're kind of like the arches are kind of dropping down, and then the other way. So pushing into the bands, and then bringing them in. So it's probably best I'll show you this way. So pushing in, so like pushing in, and then pushing out. So pushing in and pushing out. Now what we're targeting here is the long kind of lower leg, so down either side of the shins. So pushing the little toe in and then pushing it out. It's kind of nice footwork, lower leg work. Keep working with the heart stretch, so keep thinking about lifting up the chest. And you're feeling the stretches there either side of the shins, like coming down from the side of the knee, coming down into the ankle, right? Yeah, good. Just a couple more. So release. Let's finish with the spine twist, legs crossed. Lifting up the chest, take the shoulders back, palms together. Breathing in, get nice and tall. Think about the crown of the head rising up to the ceiling, and breathing out for your twist. Doesn't have to be a super big twist. Breathing in to get tall, and then breathing out round. And just keep going for a couple of these. Keep out the length there at the back of the neck. You should feel this on those long strands, either side of the spine. Take the connection with the pelvic floor and the TVA as well, so keep pulling in. Just 2 more. Palms pressing against each other. And last one. Coming to center. Thank you. Namaste.